Here's one called Smells a Bit Fishy. In primary school I had a friend who spent his spare time at the pier. He always had hold of a fishing rod, a net and a 3-tine spear. Rick was shorter than me and was in my class. I suppose he's a kind of a mate, but he always talked about mackerel and herring and skippy and skate. And sometimes I walked home from school with this strange young fishing mad kid, and he talked of gidgeys and sinkers and hooks and the best place he'd found to spear squid. On Saturday mornings he'd see him. On expeditions he would embark, and then you wouldn't see him again until it was getting quite dark. One evening while doing my paper round he staggered home, bleeding and bruised. I asked him if he was feeling okay. You should have heard the language he used. He'd gone along to the land-back wharf to tickle for herring, he said, and just as he dropped his line in the brine, this thing reared its ugly great head. It must have been 10 feet long or more. At first he thought it was a shark. It's hard to see under the land-back wharf and the water is murky and dark. It must have weighed 200 weight and Rick only weighed 8 stone, but it took his hook and bait in a gulp and left him to fight it alone. Now the line that Richard was using had only a 30-pound strain, and judging by the size of this beast, he'd not see his gear again. But it seemed the bugger wanted some sport to play on my little mate Rick. It dived, resurfaced, and dived again. It used every piscatorial trick. Rick held his reel and he struggled, and the line ripped into his hand, and at one point he wrapped it round his waist as this monster he tried to land. For an hour or more he struggled, yet his line still didn't break. As he said, the 30-pound breaking strain should have snapped, for goodness sake. At one stage he reckoned he had it. It was half on the boards, he declared. But then it gave him such a demonic look he stumbled back, really scared. At last, when Rick was exhausted, he poked at it with his gidgee shaft. But the fish just twisted and snapped the line, and Rick swore that the bloody thing laughed. As it swam out into the harbour with Rick's hook still in its mouth, it raised its tail to salute him, and then it buggered off to the south. Now, I don't disbelieve young Richard. He isn't the sort who would lie, but each time he tells you this story, he won't look you straight in the eye.